Hello, my name's Chris Johnson, and I work for Nokia's enterprise business, in particular focusing on the Industry 4.0 opportunity. And it's a great pleasure to be with you today to talk about Industry 4.0, the global experience, and also with some Indian perspectives. So let me just walk through the presentation. I think it's very important first to really define what we're talking about when we're talking about Industry 4.0. And here's a simple explanation from my perspective. It's basically the delivery of massive increases in productivity. This is the foundation of Industry 4.0. But there's a number of subsets to this. Of course, efficiency is something that all of industries, every asset-intensive business is trying to drive that kind of enhancement to their productivity. This is the big one. But also there's a sense of agility here. Industry 4.0 is about pivoting the business fast to new requirements and new market opportunities. It's about better decision making. We know that there are thousands and thousands of opportunities to connect devices and people and machines. It's about extracting the data to enable us to make better decisions about our business. And a big one for industry is safety. So human safety is a real component of Industry 4.0. And of course, as we pivot and digitize our businesses towards Industry 4, the economy, the sustainability of the economic activity is extremely important. But there's a kind of a broad definition up front of what we believe Industry 4.0 to be. And there's a number of really strong trends that we're seeing in the market today. Of course, there's this massive wave of economic productivity that I talked about in the first place. But there's also a sense that networking and connectivity to things in the Internet of Things is very constrained today. And that constraint is holding back massive feedback that I get from customers every day. The number of devices that can connect to the bigger world is also growing very fast. We estimate that in the 4G networking world, there's about 5,000 individual sensor types that can be connected to a network. As we move towards 5G connectivity, this is going to grow to tens of thousands of items. So you can only imagine the trend here to be able to connect to literally everything in the industrial world. Security is going to be a really big trend going forward in Industry 4.0. As we connect to everything and extract important data, this needs to be secured. And the final major trend is, like never before, we see ecosystems emerging of clients, of partners, of industrial solution providers, software and application vendors coming together to really drive the trend and the efficiencies that we can see. On the right, we did a bit of research here to understand what Industry 4.0 means in terms of growth, and it's quite prolific, honestly. In particular, I'll call your attention to manufacturing and logistics. We estimate, and some research that we did, that there's 10 million manufacturing and logistics sites globally that are looking for Industry 4.0 productivity increases. And in particular, on the technology side, what is the trend? We'd see private mobile networks being the kind of the glue within the Industry 4.0 ecosystem that makes the whole efficiency gain possible. And so the major trend that we at Nokia see, and I talk to customers about every day, is the rapid adoption of private mobile networks, industrial strength 4G and 5G networking for that kind of mission critical connectivity that our customers are looking for in Industry 4.0. And I want to just talk about some examples. What are we talking about in industry? Energy is a classic example of a really asset-rich industry. Energy utilities with their power generation plants, nuclear plants, transmission networks with lots of machinery and assets, and the distribution network to the home and to the office premises. These are all heavily connected environments where Industrial 4.0 makes a massive difference to the efficiency of running those environments. But also in energy, we see renewables, solar, wind, sea power. Again, physical machinery that's capturing energy that needs to be managed and proactively maintained. Oil and gas, rigs, refineries, pipelines, again, strong physical assets. And then the mining industry, which is particularly interesting. And I wanted to deep dive on some really interesting topics in the mining space, some real metrics that we've discovered that make Industry 4.0 come to life. If you imagine in a mine, we're talking about autonomous vehicles, enabling autonomous vehicles with connectivity. And what we found that as we make these vehicles autonomous, we get up to 90% less halting or stopping in the process of running the daily business of a mine. This is huge in terms of continuity of running daily operations. Productivity increases are massive in mining. We see about an 8.5% increase in productivity. Emissions, so how much efficiency in the way that we schedule vehicles and move vehicles around a mine, there's massive emissions drops to be benefited from. And of course, this important health and safety topic. This is a much safer environment with autonomous Industry 4.0 infrastructure driving the business operation. So some real hard facts, and we're finding that private mobile networks now as the connectivity hub for Industry 4, the return on investment can happen in literally months. So this is becoming an extremely compelling investment for industry. We turn to transportation, another great example of an industry. I'm talking about rail, container ports, airports, talking about roads and logistics hubs. This whole transportation ecosystem, again, has so many points of connectivity for managing machinery and processes and goods as they travel through a process, and of course the integrated transport system that humans travel through. So another huge opportunity for incremental improvements in Industry 4.0 world. Now, manufacturing is interesting. I talked about literally millions of sites that we're going to benefit from 4G and 5G networking. We see manufacturing as by far the largest Industry 4.0 vertical segment, with perhaps even 10 million factories worldwide that are looking for advanced automation, cost savings, efficiencies, and agility. And in manufacturing, we're talking about factories, of course, but in a number of different segments. The auto segment, for example, which is strong in India, is a predominant segment looking for that automation to become very competitive, but also process engineering, chemical engineering, other areas where Industry 4.0 is beginning to make a high impact. Now, manufacturing is interesting because the number of use cases that we see through Industry 4.0 is staggering in a factory. A factory is a very complex ecosystem. It's a campus. It's a shop floor that needs to be automated. It's got connected workers and machinery and robotics and many smart assets that need to be agile, the whole end-to-end production line. So we see fantastic opportunities to automate factories. And as one of the largest manufacturers in the world as a nation, India is going to really focus, I believe, on the industrialization of the factories. And of course, not forgetting governments and cities. Again, India is very big on the digital program for the nation. And I think we see a whole number of things, including, the connectivity of the rural landscape. But we do see a predominant opportunity for connecting the city. The city is the center of humanity, with literally millions of assets, of people, of things that can be connected to create this sort of ecosystem hub to run a city more effectively via digitization. So another great example of cities. Now, we know there's a number of great industry opportunities. Pretty much every industry with a lot of assets has an opportunity to industrialize, to digitize, to take advantage of Industry 4.0. I talked about it earlier, but the importance of the ecosystem is tremendous. It's a collaboration. It's a collaboration of organizations that provide that connectivity. So the telco service providers actually with their spectrum have a massive role to play in helping us connect a mine or a port or a city with the spectrum availability to provide that mobile network connectivity, but also industrial ecosystem partners. Nokia's working with companies like Caterpillar, like Komatsu, and other industrial machinery makers for mining, for example, or Konecranes in the container port space, to enable vehicles and machinery to be connected. So a big part of the ecosystem is the industrial solution partners themselves. And then of course, the cloud players, the connectivity to the cloud, the business analytics, the data analytics in the cloud, and all of the application vendors that come with that environment. So what we do see is that the ecosystem for Industry 4.0 becomes very, very important. And certainly at Nokia, we're very, very intent on building out that ecosystem. So turning to India, I think there's a fantastic opportunity in India. Bottom line, India is a top 5 global manufacturer today and rising up the ranks, more predominant as a manufacturer on the world stage. $1 trillion of wealth created by 2025 in the Indian manufacturing segment, and the ambition to be more than 25% of India's GDP. So this is a really critical opportunity for India, and of course, Digital India is one of the early developments in this area. But we do see the automotive industry in India already taking great strides forward in terms of automating the manufacturing plants, and automotive is an obvious place to start. But many, many other opportunities we see going forward for looking at all of those other military bases, cities, mines, container ports, airports, the opportunity to accelerate productivity, to increase safety, a critical aspect of human life. Large organizations, small and medium businesses, and a great employment opportunity to kind of upskill our young people to be Industry 4.0 ready. A fantastic opportunity for India, where education is such a prominent theme. And one thing I would kind of close with on the India topic is really that 5G investment around the world. What we've seen is that as 5G investment happens, the industrialization, the Industry 4.0 process tends to accelerate. So I think what we need to anticipate in India as we make the shift over the next few years from 4G to 5G, how we can harness that technology to make industry more productive, more efficient, more agile. They're fantastic opportunities in India. And I'll close off today by saying, we have tremendous experience at Nokia. Nokia is a really prominent player in the Indian market, both in the enterprise side, but predominantly market leader in the telco CSP space. We have now great experience in the Industry 4.0 opportunity, with many cases of live networks now in transportation, in energy, in government manufacturing, in other industries. In fact, more than 200 live networks today in the private mobile network space, supporting the Industry 4.0 transformation process. And so we're living the experience today, and the potential for economic improvement is massive. And we really look forward to continuing to work in India to drive this process and to bring this economic value to bear. I want to thank you for listening to my talk today. It's been a great pleasure to be here virtually, and I hope you enjoy the rest of the IMC sessions that are going to be happening. Thanks for listening.